y'all, our women's spotlight. Y'all, I'm so excited about what we got going on. I know y'all saying every time y'all see this come on, I'm saying the same thing. But yes, y'all, I am bubbling over excited because when you get to be in the midst of all the phenomenal women that you are getting ready to see through this series, you can't help but get excited because I promise you, whatever episode you see, you're going to see this energy changing. And the only way it's changing is that it's going up, 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 up. Because I'm ready to dive in, y'all. These women are phenomenal. They are knocking the socks off. They are high achieving in their area of expertise. I promise you, you definitely want to pay attention to who we got coming on because you are going to work with it. And then what I like to say, some of y'all might be watching this and thinking like, but Deborah, you're a media coach. Deborah, you're a publisher. Deborah, you teach people how to do this. And you're interviewing people that do the same thing. Yes, I am. And you want to know why? Because there is room enough at the top for all of us. Because the people that my audience is my audience, their audience is their audience. And guess what? Y'all, if we learn to work together as women, we can knock the socks off of everybody that's out here doing it because we all have a different approach to doing things. We all have our own niche. But guess what? We have to learn how to support each other as women in ministry, as women in business, as women as a whole, because we got to remember, we got to stop this crab in the bucket mentality and be able to move on. All right, y'all, that's it. We're not supposed to be doing motivational moment. I'm here to spotlight these women. And baby, we got our first guest in the house, and it's none other than Miss Valerie Lewis. I'm bringing her up but she already here. Let me just stop and let her come on up and tell y'all who she is and what she does. Hey, girl. Hey, how are you?
Coach Deborah, how are you?
I am awesome. I am so glad to have you here today. And I got so excited when I saw what you do. And I was like, when I saw a pen of the right, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I said, yes, honey, I'm ready to network. I'm ready to connect. And I find it an awesome privilege that you chose us to come on our platform to share what you do with everybody. So why don't we just jump right in? Who is Miss Valerie? What do you do? And yeah, we'll come back after you do tell us all of that.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, I'm Valerie J. Lewis Coleman. My company is Pen of the Writer, which is based off of Judges 5:14. And what I do is serve professional speakers and experts to magnify and monetize their message by publishing quality books. So what I'm doing is using the writing pen to do hand-to-hand combat with the enemy, which is what Judges 5:14 is based off of. I love serving speakers. I've got 180 authors whose books I've published, and I've coached and mentored thousands through live events, through mentoring, through virtual events. It's been an amazing ride, and it's a blessing, Coach Deborah, to be here with you because God called me to do this. And just like you said, there's room enough for all of us. So we serve a mighty God, so there's room for everybody.
Absolutely. And you said something that really was key to me. And you said you basing this off of Judges. A lot of people don't want to go into Judges, honey, because Judges you be like, all them hithertos and thither thous. What made you go to Judges out of all the books to pull the script, your scripture base for your business?
Well, I will say when I was defining my business entity, I wanted it to be reflective of God because he told me to do this first and foremost. It was a still small voice in one of the conferences I was hosting. I want you to help my people get their books published. And I'm like, I'm already doing that with these conferences. He's like, no, boo-boo. Oh, okay. He wanted me to actually publish, which I didn't learn until about 3 or 4 years later. I didn't have that full understanding. But in developing my business, I wanted to be reflective of what I do in serving him and serving his people. So I just started researching scriptures. And Pen of the Writer, when I put in, writing in the Bible or whatever, this is over 20 years ago, Coach Deborah. So I don't want to tell you exactly the process, but over 20 years ago, then when I searched, I came up with Pen of the Writer, and it was in Judges 5:14. So when I looked at the scripture, it talks about the different tribes that are going to war against the Philistines. The last one mentioned was the tribe of Zebulun, who fought with the Pen of the Writer. Now, of course, we know that back in the Philistine times, in the Bible times, they weren't fighting these 9-foot giants with ink pens. First of all, they didn't have ink pens. Secondly, that is not going to work trying to put down a Goliath with an ink pen. Well, let me not say what God can't do, but that's not what was being done in that scripture. But when I did the research back to the original Hebrew meaning, I understood then that pen of the writer meant that they were doing hand-to-hand combat with the enemy using sticks and staffs. And that's what I do with my company. Although my pen is my weapon or keyboard is my weapon, I'm still doing hand-to-hand combat with the enemy because my books and my clients' books are inspirational. They're clean. They reflect God's character and his quality of life and his expectations for us. So pen of the writer is where the foundation of my company name. It holds me accountable. It holds me to be integral when I come to working with people. I make sure that I focus on treating them in excellence and fairness and attributes that God will be pleased with. Because at the end of the day, he told me to do this. And if I do anything that is contrary to what he wants me to do, I'm not trying to be in trouble with Jesus when I finally get to the golden gates. And he says, you did wrong by that. You didn't do right with that publish. I'm not trying to be that one.
I know that's
well
right.
done.
Hello, because you know what? Obedience is always better than sacrifice.
Look, I ain't trying to be sacrificed. I done had enough sacrifices in my life. I'm not trying to sign up voluntarily for any extras.
Absolutely. And you also said something that was really key. You just tapped into that your audience. And that's why I tell everybody, I work with a variety of authors with my publishing company. And you just said that you work with inspirational writers. And so a lot of times we don't understand coming from, let's say, from this entrepreneurial spot or even from an author spot, that you need to find somebody that specializes in your genre. And why is that important to you? Or why is that important for you to share that with your clients as well?
Well, for one, we attract who we are most alike. I'm African-American Christian woman. And so most of my clients have been African-American Christian women. Is that by accident? I don't know. That's the main, the people in my main circle of influence when I promote on social media, that's who's attracted to my message. One. For two, I think it was important for me to identify inspirational, although that wasn't my initial onset. When I was working with authors in the beginning, before I actually started publishing, I was doing editing. But even then, I was selective on what I put into my spirit. So I wouldn't read erotica. I wasn't reading urban lit and street fiction. But people would come to me because I had built this reputation of being a solid editor. They would come to me and ask me to read their book. So one young lady, knowing good and well I don't read this kind of stuff, send me her manuscript. We're talking back and forth, negotiating price. And then I said, okay, well, send me the first 5 pages. She sends me the pages. And I said, girl, bye. You think I wasn't going to read it? I'm reading this. I don't edit this. I thought I could get over on you. Then if you weren't able to get it over on me, that means I didn't read your manuscript and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I don't do the dirty. I don't do the freaky. That's not what I'm called to do. So it's important to recognize that, because with your publisher or your editor or even your graphics designer, if your message is to be clean and inspirational, you need to work with people who understand the value of clean and inspirational. If you're writing, like I have a novel, The Forbidden Secrets of the Goodie Box, which is clean and inspirational. It's actually a call to abstinence, but I don't tell women that because then they wouldn't read it. But when I gave it to my cover designer, I needed her to be able to understand the message that I was trying to convey. When I work with my editors, I needed them to understand, yes, these characters are having sex, which is what we do, saved, unsaved, married and unmarried. However, I love that face. However, I needed my editor to understand when I had my couple going into the bedroom and coming back out, I did that on purpose. You didn't need to know what was going where and who was wearing what. And that wasn't necessary to convey the message I wanted to convey. And so you have to be clear on that when you're editing, when you're looking for cover designers, and especially when you're publishing, and then specifically your market. So like if I have somebody coming to me and they want to write urban lit, I can't help you when it comes to marketing. I don't have an urban lit audience. Now people will take your money and tell you they can do things for you. But if they're not positioned to serve you in the capacity of which you need to be served or where your readers are, it's not going to benefit you. You can spend thousands of dollars and not reach a single soul, not your soul.
Just said something that was really clear as well, is that there are so many people that are out here for money grabs. And they make it hard for us to actually have integrity about what we do. Like, you can pay me X amount of dollars, but if I don't know what I'm doing and and see, this is where a lot of people they don't read that agreement. And if I put in that agreement, all sales final, no refund, whether I deliver or not, you setting yourself up. And it's like, let's just talk about that. How do
Okay.
you help with people, deal with that person that, like you said, really doesn't, they just keep coming at you, and you telling them that you're not for them, but they're throwing the dollar at you. How do you handle that? Because we have those people out here as well. They'll pay you, but then they want you to do what they want you to do. So how do you stay? That's where I'm going with this. How do you stay integral to yourself
Mm-hmm.
in the midst? Because you know how sometimes you be like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to take this one because this car note due, this mortgage to do. Let's just be real. The baby needs some formula, Pampers, eggs, $10.
Okay.
Let's be real. We gonna talk about life. When life happens and you got this temptation, how do you stay true to yourself and
Mm.
still make it and still do what you need to do?
I think for me, coach, it's really about being insistent on doing what best reflects what God has for me.
Mhm.
Because I think sometimes when we go after the money, that means we're not trusting him to deliver. Because there have been months when I've been 5 figures, there have been months when I've been 3 figures. Like, Jesus, the bills are still coming. So what I need to do is be sure and solid in what he told me to do and honor that. So I've had clients who I worked with extensively, and then when we got to the end of the process, they wanted to do things that weren't not necessarily going to tarnish my reputation or my brand, but wasn't reflective of what was necessary for the industry. So maybe say a book should be priced at $12.99. They want to sell it for $20. I'm not doing that. We're going to talk about why you don't want to do that, explain to you the benefits of pricing your book effectively, and how in the long run it serves you better than trying to price gouge. Because what you're saying is, I need to get as many people to pay me $20 because I don't think I'm able to sell these many books at the right dollar amount. Or I've had people who didn't want to follow through with my editing. When I tell you I'm anal about the editing of manuscripts and stuff, and I really do more of ghostwriting, like / developmental editing, where I'm really pouring into the manuscripts and I'm researching and I'm adding content and taking out content and moving and removing content and asking questions and trying to get clarity on different things. And when that comes to that, some people are, I don't have this issue often, but some people are not willing to accept editorial changes, even though they shine them in a better light. And so it's like, okay, I'll put it the way you want it. Let me explain to you the downfalls of doing that. I'll give you what you want. I'm not putting my name on the book. Well, why aren't you? Because this doesn't reflect the quality of work that I do. And if you want to insist on doing things that maybe make you feel a certain kind of way, then by all means, go ahead and do what you feel. Understand that your feelings can keep you from generating revenue, transforming lives, and positioning yourself for success. So I'll give you what you want as long as it doesn't diminish my quality of work and my brand.
That's powerful because so many times, especially as new coaches, new publishers, new authors, we don't make that stand. And a lot of times I've shared with people that I work with, I've said, you know what, I'm at the point now, if you can't do what I need you to do, then all money is not good money. So why would I set myself up for that? And you also talked about book pricing. Why is it important for us to price our manuscripts at the right price? Because see, sometimes we want to also price it, oh, I'm just gonna sell it for $1, so I can generate all these sales. I want all these numbers. I want to be Amazon bestseller. I want this and I want that. So I'm just gonna sell it for $1. Why? Or and like you said, or the one that wants to overprice it, because I know them first couple of people, they'll buy it at $25 because they just trying to help a sister, help a brother out. But how do we gauge that? How do we work with pricing of our manuscripts?
Mhm.
Because they're all our babies, and that's why we don't want you to edit them. That's why we don't want you to add to it. That's my baby, honey. You trying to tell me that my baby's eyebrows is crooked? No, it is. But let me show you how to straighten them out. So
Yeah.
how do we help people see the bigger picture, or at least start to scratch the surface of the bigger picture?
Well, one thing for me is I am left brain dominant. I am an engineer by degree. I taught college level math. So everything I do is more about
You
the
one of them people.
logical.
You one of them people. So let me tell y'all something. I'm the creative of the bunch, and we already know that. So you already know I'm gonna be hyper. I'm gonna go off and do everything. See, this the person that. So let me help y'all
Real
people.
it
Let
is.
me help the
Real it is.
creatives. Let me help the creatives. You need somebody in your life like this.
Absolutely. You need that left brain
Spoke
person
it in.
because well, the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1:8. So it's difficult to be effective as a writer, which is right brain. Intuition, feelings, emotion, creativity is right brain features. Left brain is logic, reasoning, problem solving, critical thinking. And you really need both to be effective in this business. Of course, you need the right brain for writing. Everything else needs to be left brain. Marketing, copy, positioning yourself, inventory, getting the best cost of products for your book, retail price. All of that is left brain stuff. Where do you distribute it? To whom do you distribute it? So what happens is me being very math oriented, loving math, loving numbers, it is easy for me to do competitive analysis where I look at books and I determine what their retail prices are, who their editor is, look at their covers. This is something I used to do with my clients years ago. And I've been at this for so long. There was no Amazon when I first got started or social media. So what we would do is go to the bookstore, physical bookstore, and pull all the books in the genre in which they were writing and then do our assessment. What's the cover look like? Who did the cover? How does it read? Do you like the editing? Who was the editor? How many pages is it? What's their table of contents look like? How many chapters do they have? Not that chapters matters as much. What's the retail price? What do they have in the front and back matter? Do you like the author photo? Do you not like the author photo? And taking that kind of information and consolidating it into a competitive analysis then allows you to say, okay, if this book is nonfiction, the same genre as mine, nonfiction self-help, let's say, and they're selling it for $12.99, and their book is 150 pages, I probably shouldn't sell mine too much further above that or below that, because now that could affect my presence in the industry. Like you said, if you underprice it, people think something wrong with it, it's jacked up, it's cheap, it ain't no good. Or if you overprice it, I'm not buying that. Think about Amazon has over 32 million books. And this was a number I got, I think, a couple of years ago. So it's probably 50 million now. I don't know. Between the different formats. Of those 50 million books, a very small percentage even sell anything worth noteworthy. As a result, then what I do is when I do my competitive analysis now, I have my clients do competitive analysis now, I have them go to Amazon and not just look at the Amazon bestsellers, because people have gotten crafty and they do sneaky stuff to be a bestseller on Amazon, and they're really not legitimately a bestseller. Look at the New York Times best-selling books on Amazon that are within your genre and compare those books, the retail price, the cover design, the editing, pages, all the different, the table of contents. Look at those books, not to mimic and copy, but to get a benchmark for where you can use for your books. So if they've got table of contents, you're writing a book on domestic violence, I don't know, and you pull a bestseller from New York Times that's on domestic violence, look at the chapter, table of contents. Maybe there's some things in there that they're missing that you want to put in your book. Maybe there's things in your book that you're like, maybe I don't need to say that because they've already said this. But that competitive analysis helps to position you to create this benchmark of excellence when you're dealing with traditional publishing houses. Now, what I found in the past is if you just search any old kind of book that's a bestseller, you run the risk of it being a bestseller, but not being a real bestseller, or not being a bestseller that's noteworthy. And not to make that sound, not to minimize anybody's best-selling status, but just know that you want to compare your book to the creme de la creme, the elite. Traditional publishing books are considered the elite, if you will. So that way you can have a solid benchmark. There's no sense of comparing yourself to books that rank low. And it's because you rank high in the low, that's not that good. But they say C is the worst of the best and the best of the worst. Nobody want to C, right? We want to be B's and A's. I teach my clients how to professionally design and engineer their books to land paid speaking engagements, media attention, and book sales. And that's how I position them to succeed and excel. And that's the same thing I want to do for everybody.
And that is so awesome, because you know what? You just told us and said a mouthful, because at the end of the day, you just said being an author is work.
It's
Cause
so much work.
baby, because I had a client and I said, so what are your plans for marketing? Do you And I asked him all these different questions. She was like, I got to do all of that. She said, I just thought they would just buy the book. Well, how they gonna buy what they don't know?
They don't
But
know anything.
that's a whole different show, whole different time. We done ran out of time. So I got one question that I need you to answer. After you answer this question, I need you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you,
Absolutely.
how they can work with you, and just how they can just be in the midst of your greatness. So your one question: what does Church Girl CEO mean to you?
Well, for me, I think the name of your company is very clear on what it's about. It's specifically for women who love the Lord and who are running businesses. And so I think that's phenomenal. I think what you're doing is great to share with the world what God is doing through us, for us, to us, and to inspire other people. So I'm greatly excited for this opportunity. Church Girl CEO, I love the name. CCC, Church Girl CEO, yeah. And I think it's great what you're doing to serve and inspire women.
And how can they get in contact with you?
So my company is Pen of the Writer. You can see it on the wall behind me. penofthewriter.com is my website. That is all my social media handles: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, although I don't do anything on Pinterest. Clubhouse, I don't do anything on Clubhouse. But I'm Pen of the Writer, PEN as an ink pen, penofthewriter.com, everywhere. Even my email is info@penofthewriter.com.
That is so awesome. I am so glad you decided to join us. Well, guys, y'all already know it's been fun. It's been real. Love you to life. Have a great one. Peace.